Give me just give me the sugar.
Just give me the real.
I don't want margarine.
Diet.
Give me milk.
Coke. What do I?
Give me milk and churn it and let me get butter. Throw some salt in there or not, but
Exactly.
give me butter.
Why don't have fake butter? Why go through all this? Just don't eat
Why
it.
Why go make something in the lab?
Vegan meat. You like meat. You obviously like meat. You like meat.
Pause.
Pause all day. Big pauses. It's evident. Why you got fake meat? Just eat vegetables.
My thing on the whole vegan thing. Oh, are we recording this?
Mm-hmm.
We are recording. We got the audio. My thing on the whole vegan piece is, why is everything fried?
Everything fried, deep fried.
Hey, listen, watch.
If it's so good, why y'all gotta fry it?
Hey, listen, the whole thing. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor. What experts project for home prices over the next 5 years? Mortgage applications at a 30-year low. We got the DMV real estate news. Then we're going to jump into the comment section. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Mortgage Coach Marcus.
And
what's
today,
up?
why you got the very white?
I didn't really mean to.
You came in on the smooth jazz.
Coach Marcus, what up, y'all?
You came in on
Smooth Jazz 105.9.
Was that off?
You were very off.
I was sharp or flat? 105.9.
I don't know if you were in a different key. I don't know if it.
No,
the key that I was in, you weren't in. But it's all good.
I wasn't.
You're a drummer. I'm a singer.
That's true. I don't know keys. One thing I do
You have
know,
a drum key.
I do have a drum key. Touche. I was about to make a transition because I was going to say one thing I do know. I was going to say one thing I do know about real estate, but you messed that up. So
bad.
One thing I do know about keys is how to get your keys.
Hey, where you see hurdles, we see house keys. Fields Mortgage Group, you know it.
Fields Mortgage Group.
FMG.
So that's your tag. I need a tagline. What's your tagline? Where you see hurdles, we see house keys. That's tight, bro.
Thank you.
Mortgage applications at a 30-year low. Home prices. They're projecting home prices. What you got going on, man? I heard you got school. You about to do some back to school night. How was that?
It was tonight at 5 o'clock.
Oh, it's tonight?
Yeah. So back to school tonight. Back to school night tonight at 5. I used to hate back to school night because I wasn't the best of students. And if y'all have heard my story,
Touche. Me either.
you heard me talk about me being a college flunk out.
Yeah.
But I was smart. Like, I could do the work. I just ain't like doing the work.
Right.
So actually, by the time back to school night had started, which is what, the first 2-3 weeks of school,
Mm-hmm.
I'd already started missing assignments.
Bro, funny enough, yeah, you can fix that. I always liked back to school night. I always felt like it was kind of like, I don't know, it was cool because it was like being at school at night. So that was always kind of cool.
Okay, I got you on that.
And then it was kind of like you were in school, but it was kind of like a free period because your parents kind of
No.
I used to love it.
Let me tell you, because I'd already started not doing my homework, so I already
every
knew.
year. Why don't you fix your mic?
I probably got it together around like 8th grade.
Oh.
So, because I was always trying to be slick for one reason or another, or I just didn't feel like doing it or whatever, right? But basically, by the first 2 weeks of school, I already started being missing social life, missing class assignments and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I already knew that by the time back to school night happened, I was going to be in trouble. Because the teacher was going to be like, yeah, he's already like...
But 2 weeks, you're not really in trouble. They just like...
My mama didn't play it, bro. Like, she was like...
So why were you such a derelict if your mom was so strict?
I don't...
You got spankings when you was a kid?
Yeah, I used to get tore up.
I did too. I still did what I wanted to do.
Correct. That's why,
My son's starting school Thursday.
That could be good.
It's like this nature, like wood school. So you like go into the woods. Like we stay with him basically most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then like all the little kids, it's basically for like little bougie like homeschool kids, you know. That's just like ain't never really.
So
we
you
try
want
to
to
like
homeschool?
Huh? We're gonna do. I don't know. Well, we're gonna start with this right now because he's two. It's like a wood school, and they go for like from like 10 to like 1.
Oh, okay.
You know, and they socialize with other kids, which is essentially them just staring at each other like awkwardly. Like it's crazy. These quarantine babies, man. Like he's fresh out after quarantine,
Yeah.
but he was born during quarantine, so he's kind of like still, you know, he's getting used to like other humans. It's not like he got so he'll just sit and be like people are like, oh, he's so shy. I'm like, no, he's not shy. He's observant.
He's trying to figure you out.
He's looking at you. You're the odd one here. He's not shy. Trust me. My kid's not.
House.
My son will burn this whole joint down. He's just looking at you, figuring out if he's gonna burn you down or not.
Shout out to you, Neo.
Yeah. So let's get into the top real estate headlines.
Yes, sir.
So, what experts project for home prices over the next 5 years? If you have been paying attention at all to the real estate market, you know real estate markets usually hit cycles every 4 or 5 years or so, and the best time to buy a house is obviously 5 years ago. So this article says if you're planning to buy a home, one thing to consider is what experts project home prices will do in the future and how it may affect your investment. So let me stop right there in this article and automatically disagree with that. Because like we've already,
you disagree with it.
I disagree with this article on that first line because that's not really one of the first things you want to consider. It is something to consider, you know, the value, what the home value is going to do in the future, but not so much if you're planning on staying there long term because, you know, long term, you're always going to win in real estate long term. But to continue, while you may have seen negative news over the past years about home prices, what they're doing, they're doing far better than expected and are rising across the country. And data shows experts forecast home prices will continue to appreciate. They must be listening to our podcast, Marcus.
They should be. But I think they are because we've been talking about it for a minute.
We've been talking about it for a minute. Pulseonomics polled over 100 economists, investment strategists, and housing market analysts in the last quarterly home price expectation survey. The results show what panelists project will happen with home prices over the next 5 years. Here are those expert forecasts saying home prices will go up every year through 2027. And so for those of y'all listening on the pod, I'm going to put it on the YouTube, but for those of y'all listening on the pod, there's a chart here, the estimated home price performance. And it projects 2023, we will have an increase of about 3.2%. 2024, they're expecting a little bit of a downturn, and we're only going to now. This is just the appreciation in the home values. It's not that they're going to go down.
They're expecting a slowdown in 2024.
Well, not a slowdown. They're expecting it to appreciate less fast. But it's a distinction, but it's a very important distinction.
So instead of the average annual appreciation in a normal market is what, 4%?
4, yeah.
Okay, so over the past few years, it's averaged like anywhere from 10 to 17%, depending on the market.
Exactly, ridiculously faster.
We're back down. Well, I don't know.
As of 2023, we're up to about 3.32 appreciation per year, annual appreciation.
Okay, so we're
they're projecting right, and then they're projecting in 2024 2.17% increase in home values.
But that's still good.
That's amazing, right? Yeah. Where can you go and put your money and get a 2% guaranteed increase in the home value?
Well, let's think about that in a real number.
500,000. That's 1, 2. That's like $10,000 in
12 months.
In 12 months of just living in your house, right? 2025, they're expecting 3.25 increase. In 2026, they're expecting a 3.79 increase. And in 2027, they're expecting home values to be back to that 4.18 number that we talked about a couple seconds ago.
I hear the data, and I understand that the economists are way more qualified than I am, you know, from perspective of watching the charts and numbers and a lot of things. I don't like it, though. I don't like the fact that you look at it 4 years out and say we're anticipating this, and this, right?
Right.
Where like you can't even, we don't have the inventory, and houses now, depending on the time of year, you're either going to get money from the seller or not. You're either going to get a price reduction or not. Homes are going to sit on the property on the market for 17 days plus minus.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many variables,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I guess they're anticipating. I mean, I heard a few times some of the leading voices on the mortgage side say that in 2024 rates are going to drop and we're going to have a refi boom. And then I heard, I was not even so much heard, but I was reading and listening that it actually is not 2024, it's 2025 that the rates will drop and we'll have the refi boom. So it's like,
I mean, but that's I think that's exactly in line with this prediction. I mean, if we have a refi boom, that's going to, those properties are going to comp at whatever sales are happening at the time. A refi boom is not going to increase the inventory. Quite the opposite.
no, that means people are staying.
People are going to stay, so it's going to be a net zero on the inventory, which is going to continue to push upward pressure on prices, because now you got a bunch of people that's going to stay in their houses longer. Inventory is not going to be increasing, and the demand is still going to be up because now the interest rates have dropped. So we're going to have increased demand, still limited inventory. So that means prices are going to just continue to shoot up.
Yeah, and then that means that the people that are buying homes, and you're one of 20 people making an offer, and you have the escalation clauses, waiving the contingencies, and all that thing that we're in this cycle because it's been that way for the past 3-4 years, right? It just, you see more or less of it depending on the market or whatever. So if the prices continue to go up and the rates go down, then you have more people, and then you'll have the people that are refinancing. They get higher value on their property, right? And that higher value on that property will also help inform you as an agent to be like, look, the houses in your area of the people are staying in, their values are whatever number. So that means that we can list your property for this number.
Yeah.
And you'll get it because it's justified in the market. Now, when that property is listed for whatever number you list it for, you still got those same 20 people or whatever lined up, and now they're competing and they're pushing the values up higher, which,
it's a cycle, right?
For that comp, people that stay in the house, now my house is worth more because.
Yep. And that's why we suggest, look, get in where you fit in.
Get something.
This real estate game. So the article continues. If you're someone who's worried about home prices would fall because of stories you read online, here's the big takeaway. Even though some home prices may vary by local market, experts project that prices will continue to rise across the country for years to come. And these numbers indicate the return to more normal home price appreciation. The last 2 years we've had, those unicorn years, the pandemic years, that appreciation was not normal.
Right.
We do not typically have 20% year over year appreciation. Like, that's just ridiculous. But that was because, like we said, the 2% interest rates, historically low interest rates is going to correspondingly create historically high
demand,
appreciation and demand and prices. And we saw it play out in real time. And so Real Estate Wire Squad, we can take note of that pattern and say, last time interest rates dropped, prices skyrocketed. Next time interest rates drop, prices will probably skyrocket.
It's going to be fun. I mean, depending on what your idea of fun is.
Yeah, I mean, when you jump in on the home ownership side, then you can jump on that appreciation wave.
Yeah.
But like the lottery, you got to be in it to win it.
Straight up.
You can't benefit from appreciation from a house that you don't own. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to be negatively affected if you don't own anything, and if you're renting, because your landlord's going to continue to go up on their rent, because that's the rental model. That's the model. Like, people get upset. Why renters, landlords shouldn't increase their rents? Well, that's illogical to assume that a person's expenses are going to increase, but yours are going to stay the same. A landlord's expenses, their taxes, their water bill, their plumbing, their mechanical, their repairs, all of that is increasing every year. And that landlord is supposed to not increase? How can you be exempt from everything else that's increasing?
Well, that just means what the person is really saying without saying it is, Mr. Landlord, I'm already paying you consistently every month, and you're making money off of me every month. You should not make as much money as you
Right.
shouldn't be making as much money, right?
And unfortunately, we don't live in the world of should. We live in the world of is.
And running a business is someone that's
Is
making a profit.
correct.
If you're not making a profit, you're running a volunteer system
Right. And
or
it sucks.
a
We get it.
nonprofit.
What me and Marcus we're giving you this information to convey to you what side you want to be on. Right? We don't have a dog in the fight. If you want to stay renting, then continue to do so.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's the trajectory, right? Your rents will increase every year because that's the model. That's what's going to happen. You're rarely will you find a landlord, that's worth his salt, that's not going to increase rents. If that landlord is not increasing rents, it's because they don't care about the building and they're probably not taking care of the building. They're probably not doing their upkeep. They're probably not doing, basic repairs on the property. So you get that trade off. If you got a on top landlord, they're keeping up with repairs, they're keeping up with maintenance because that's their investment property. It's their investment.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, their expenses are going up. Contract labor is going up. Materials is going up. Water, electric bills are going up. The price of water is going up. Gas. All of that. Property taxes are increasing because when a sale happens in a house, when interest rates drop, neighborhood prices increase, that increases your tax base every year.
Mm-hmm.
So your taxes are going up if you're a landlord. And so that's why your rent is going to continue to go up. Now, if I were in your position, I would say, well, if something's going to go up, at the very least, I want to benefit from it. If home prices are going to go up, at the very least, you want to benefit from it. If home prices are going up and you're renting, you're not benefiting from it because you're paying the landlord's increases, right? He's passing those fees on to you. And then you're, in turn, investing or maintaining his investment for him.
Well,
or her.
So as you were talking, I was thinking about, and you're right about it. I was thinking about the correlation between a landlord owning the building and owning the unit that you live in, and you're paying money to live there, and the correlation between that and a grocery store, right? Grocery stores, everything is more expensive, crops, produce, whatever,
right?
More expensive. So that's why things are more expensive on the shelf to you as the consumer coming into that grocery store. But if you are a farmer and you own a farm and you have a farm store, which we have a lot out my way, then I can get better produce, have more benefit health wise, and I'm not paying what you pay in the stores in most situations. Sometimes things can be a little bit more expensive at a small farmer's market, whatever. But most time they're not. But I can tell you one thing: what's always different and better is the quality of what I'm getting from that farmer because they own it. Or if I own it, right? If I own the farm, right, what I'm growing is better. So that's why and I give that as from a country boy perspective because hey, you're gonna pay to live somewhere. You're gonna pay money for food somewhere. You got to figure out what you want to eat, how you want to get it, where you want to live, and and who you want to pay that money to.
Yep. So, speaking of paying that money,
money.
Let's get into the coach's corner. Mortgage applications at a 30-year low. What you got for us, coach?
Yeah, applications decreased for the 7th time in 8 weeks, reaching the lowest level since 1996, a year after I graduated high school, and 3 years before I bought my condo. 30-year fixed interest rates across the board in your typical market. This is not what I'm giving, but the average interest rate about 7.27, right? There's been minimal refinance activity, right? And a reduced incentive for homeowners to sell and buy a new home at a higher rate. So just think about that. Like, people are not incentivized to sell their house and buy a new house because when they buy a new house,
You got to jump in on
a higher rate. So if the rates are higher, it's people are less encouraged to put an application, try to buy a house at a higher interest rate and at a higher sales price, right? But track with me on this. Loan sizes are higher than the overall average. They were at 361. Now they're at like 368. Just in the past, just in 7 days. So the loan amounts are higher, right?
I mean, yeah, because the houses are more expensive.
Now that's on a refinance, but on a purchase, they were at like 413,000. I'm sorry, they're at 413 now. Last week they were at like 409. So people are the loan amounts are higher.
Yep.
Right, but loan amounts are higher because they're putting down whatever money on a higher price home. FHA loans, which I'm pointing at you as a realtor and all of y'all, realtors, because like in our market, FHA loans used to be looked upon as like not the loan that they wanted to accept as
I
much.
never understood that.
Me either, because it
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. It's such a great loan. But FHA's share of applications went from 13.7 to 14.2, and loans for veterans, the share stayed at 11%, 11.3. So what this is saying to me is that number one, refinance applications are down, right? Loan applications themselves for purchases are also down, but when people are purchasing, the loan amount themselves is higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then the type of loan that people are coming in the door with is FHA, is more FHA than it's been. And one of the reasons for that is FHA is coming in with a lower interest rate
and lower down payment.
Lower down payment, 3.5% is required on a
So it makes sense. Like even if you got better credit, maybe to go with it, but you got that PMI. So I guess maybe they're banking on the refi when the interest rate drops.
If you don't have 20% down, you're gonna pay PMI anyway. Now, if you got better credit,
right,
then the PMI is cheaper.
Well, I mean, I think it's cheaper, but also they have the option to remove it at some point.
Right. On conventional, you got the PMI that you got to have if you don't have 20%. Now, I've got some creative products we don't have to pay it or how you pay it. That's conventional. But the thing, lower PMI on a conventional loan, you still got a much higher interest rate on a conventional loan, right? Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So it can offset where the FHA still might be a better overall monthly payment, because that's what you really want to focus on. Like, how much am I paying per month? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things as a lender that I drive hard on with my clients, because I'm like, I know you're paying $2,100 a month in rent. How much do you want to pay a month on a mortgage? And some people think that I can get a mortgage for cheaper. Okay, maybe, but if you say I want to do $2,100, then that equates to a certain sales price. So might not be able to get the $600,000 property and still pay. Well, you're not going to be able to get a $600,000 home or $500,000 and pay $2,100 a month. You're actually going to be at, like, let's say $300,000. So when you go to Redfin and wherever else you might go online searching for homes, Zillow and stuff like that, edit your search parameters and change some of those numbers and stop looking at those $500,000 and $600,000 properties. Because the focal point is what's coming out your pocket every month.
Per month, right. That's a good point, bro. What's going on, everybody? It's Dan Wheeler from the future. If you're anything like me, you're probably driving around all day listening to podcasts or YouTube. That means you're using your iPhone, your AirPods, and your Apple Watch all at once. There's this company that's blowing up on TikTok right now. They reached out to me to try their new 3-in-1 charger and let you know what I think. And actually, it's pretty cool. Imagine this, effortlessly charging your iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods Pro all at once. With this 3-in-1 charging stand, streamline your tech game with one sleek powerhouse. No more tangled cords, no more fuss, just pure, efficient charging bliss. So the guys over at Evolve gave us a special deal. Use the code RealEstateWire20 for 20% off your first order. If you're tired of a bunch of tangled cords, you definitely want to give this thing a try. Now let's get back to the pod. So let's look at what's going on in the DMV. The DMV market report, bro. We got the August numbers now. So we got the numbers for August. Up until this point, we've been looking at July numbers. Now we're looking at August numbers. So for the DMV, greater DC area, the new listings are down 3.2%. So we got 6,358 new listings, which is down 3% from July, down 22% from this time last year. New pendings, these are properties that are under contract. We have 5,671, which is down 9% from this time last month and almost 20% from this time last year. Closed sales. Wow. Closed sales, what you think? Closed sales down or up?
Up.
Yeah, because I just gave that away. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. No, closed sales are up. We got more closed sales from this time last month. We're up 4.7% on closed sales. We're still down 15% from this time last year. And the median sold price has remained the same. 550,000 here in the DMV is the median sold price, and we are up 5.8% from this time last year. And so that kind of blends into exactly what we were talking about. This is the year over year price appreciation has gone up 5%. So on 500,000, 1% is 5, so $15,000, about $15,000, your home values, the median sold price has gone up almost $15,000 from this time last year.
Oh, last year. Okay.
Yeah, from this time last year. Yep.
Makes sense.
I mean, it makes total sense. These numbers, the information that Marcus and I are given every single week are just numerical based. We're giving you the forecast, and you have to make your decision based on your position as it stands today, right? How much you got in the bank? How much you got saved? Where's your credit? What you're looking at to pay per month? And so it's important to look at the numbers, see where we are, and then kind of judge your real estate decisions according to where we are. And you can look in the past and see where we were, and that'll give you a better idea of where we are. If you can look back and say, December 2021, the average the median sales price was 480,000. Now the median sold price is 550,000, right? So in December of 2021, we were almost $100,000 different than we are right now. From 480, well, a little bit less, right? From 480 to 550, that's almost $80,000, right? Difference. So in a year,
70 grand, yeah.
In a year, you're probably gone up $80,000. The average sale price. So to me, it just seems like a no-brainer to get inside of real estate and hold it, as opposed to waiting. The waiters.
Even if it's something like like you got to get something. Outcast said it best: get up, get out, and get something.
And yeah, we're advocating for you guys to buy houses.
Yeah, like
it's a real estate podcast. Yeah, we're telling you, it's a good product.
Right. I mean, like the
5 stars.
Start off with a condo. Like you start off with the townhouse that you don't. That I ain't gonna say nobody else wants, but I'm saying like it's a starter. You like get started, bro. And get a starter set up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I think this idea of I'm not gonna buy anything until I get my dream home, until I can afford my dream home. That's not a winning strategy.
Mm-hmm.
The winning strategy is the move up strategy. You get something small every 5, maybe 7 years. You move up, you hold, you wait for the market to do its thing. And you just ride it. You work smart. You don't work hard.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the next segment. We're going to do a new segment today. We're going to get into one thing I like and one thing that I hate. You want to go first? Or want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. So today, here's one thing that I like. One thing I like is I was talking to a colleague of mine, and this is a strategy that you can employ when you want to invest in real estate. But most people think, okay, if I'm going to invest in real estate, I have to buy a house, I need to flip it, and then I need to try and sell it, right? Or I need to buy like an apartment building, right? Or I need to buy a house and then rent it out, right? And if my mortgage is 12, I rent it for 5, my cash flow is 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
In an easy, perfect world where there are no repairs and nothing ever happens, your cash flow is $300. Those, to most people, are the most 2 common ways to invest in real estate. But there is a third way that you can invest in real estate. There's a bunch of ways, but there's another way that you can invest in real estate that is also passive and usually doesn't require as much of the legwork of either doing a rehab, because, you talk about contractors and, doing estimates and ARV and getting loans from lenders and stuff like that. Maybe you don't want to do all that. Maybe you got a nice, solid job. You don't want to sit here and try and jump into real estate and become a real estate guru, but you still know that real estate is a valuable investment vehicle, and you want to jump in. And so the third way that you can invest in real estate is what we call becoming the bank. And becoming the bank means that you become the lender and you invest with other real estate investors. And what you do is you partner with these investors. If you know somebody who's doing rehabs, or if you know somebody, or you're looking for an investor, or you know an investor who does buy and holds, and you take a percentage, you take your money and you invest it with that investor, whatever it is. You would work out whatever, however much you want to pay. So, say for example, just for easy math, you have $10,000. You say, I don't know where to put this $10,000. You take that $10,000 and you become the bank to the lender, to the investor. You become the lender. You lend your money to an investor for that investor to invest it into real estate, and you we say, well, how do I keep from losing my money? Well, in the same way you keep from losing your money with any transaction, the same way your bank keeps from losing your money with you, is they issue what's called a promissory note. And so what you do is essentially you have notes, and you give the investor a note, and you create an interest rate. And you say, hey, I'm going to give you $10,000. Whatever you're going to borrow from a lender, from a hard money lender or a bank, you're going to be borrowing at what, 7-8%. Who knows what the high interest rate loans are for hard money? Sometimes 20-21%, 13%.
13, 14.
Any investor would, now it depends on the type of investor. Some investors want you to be accredited. There's different types, like if you're jumping into syndications and stuff like that, and we can get more into depth in those more advanced strategies. But the bird's eye view is, you say, hey, I have $10,000. I want to invest it. I want to invest it in your real estate business.
Mm-hmm.
$10,000. You issue that investor a promissory note where that investor is going to pay you interest on your $10,000. So let's say, for example, you say, okay, I'll give you $10,000 for 6 months at 5%. That investor is going to take that money, invest your money, right? You have the promissory note, which, in the event something goes down, you can always take that promissory note and file a lien on the property, right? You could take the deed, or at the very least have a claim to that property, because the property is a security for your note. And that investor can either take that money, that $10,000 invested in that project, or just pay you a dividend every, however so often, every quarter, monthly, however you set that note up. And you can use this strategy for a bunch of different investors. If you know a couple investors that you see they're making moves, you're like, man, I really like your business. Reach out to that person, or reach out to me and Mark. Maybe we can put you down with some guys that are doing this type of thing. But it's called becoming the bank, and you can take your money. It's another strategy that you can use to passively invest in real estate, where you don't have to get your hands dirty. You don't have to worry about toilet tenants and trash cans, but you can still benefit from investing in real estate.
You just dropping 3 T's.
Toilet tenants and trash cans.
Y'all use that, like a lot of y'all investors use that.
Toilet tenants and trash cans, bro. You don't want to deal with toilet tenants and trash cans.
So what you saying? So I've heard of that, and I do like that. I do like being a bank. I had a guy offer me that years ago, and basically the $10,000 scenario you gave is basically that $10,000. He brought it to me in a different way. It was like, not exactly the same number, but $10,000 represents, let's say, 10% or 1% or whatever the number is. So if I'm giving this back, then whatever your return is, I get that commensurate percentage.
Yeah, so that's called an equity position. So there's two types. There's a straight debt position. There's an equity position. Equity positions, usually most people want more money if they're going to be giving you a percentage of their equity.
That's on the flip.
That's right? Like for rehabbers, for flippers. So let's say, for example, you had $100,000 and their rehab, after they sell everything, they're projecting to make $300,000, and you're putting up $100,000. Well, even though let's make it easy. Let's say you put up all the money for the rehab. Let's say you put up $100,000 for the rehab, but that person is doing all the work and you're just putting up the money. More than likely, you're not going to get a 50-50 split. Right? You're not going to get 50% of what they make after they close, because you're only putting up the money. You're not doing anything else. You're not putting up, you're not securing the loan. You're not, running the project. You're not doing the acquisition. So just because you put up $100,000 doesn't mean that you're going to get $100,000 back. They may give you, 20% equity. They may say, okay, well, if I'm going to make, $300,000, I'll give you 20% plus your original 100 back. So 3 times 2, 5, 50. What's that? Like 50,000, something like that. 20% of, what was the number I said? Let's say they're going to make $300,000 profit. Not that they're not going to make that, but they will give you a percentage of the equity
Right.
and your original investment back. The 100,000, you get that first. Then they give you a piece of the equity. That's usually if you're putting up a larger amount. But if you want to do a smaller amount, you just want to go on the debt side where you're giving them a debt loan and you're getting a fixed percentage. So the equity is not a fixed number. The equity could go up and down depending on how much they sell it for, and you've agreed to a percentage of whatever they sell it for. It's not a fixed rate.
Yeah.
The debt is a fixed rate. You say, look, no matter what happens, I don't care if you don't make $1, you're still going to give me 5% on my dollar.
Yeah, in 6 months or whatever.
In 6 months, however long the note is. So investing in notes is a good strategy, a good hack to start investing in real estate.
And you like being the bank.
That's one thing that I like.
Okay.
What's one thing you like, Marcus?
I had a number of.
Oh, you want me to do one thing I hate?
Nah, I do one.
Okay.
One thing I like. How you want me to go with this? Because I can go a number of ways. Like about one thing I like.
I'm gonna do one thing that I hate, and then you can do
All right.
one thing that you like and one thing you hate.
All right.
All right. One thing that I hate.
'Cause I don't,
So here's
there's
one
so many
thing.
ways I can take it.
Here's one thing that I hate. I hate caffeine-free coffee. I hate non-alcoholic beer. I hate vegan meat. I don't like any of these things.
Have you tried like vegan chicken stuff?
I've tasted them before, and they're all disgusting.
You talking
right?
about like Impossible Burgers and stuff like you tried?
All of these categories of fake things or things that take the main thing out and then try to give you just like the hollowed out shell of whatever this product is.
Yeah.
Coffee is supposed to be caffeinated, bro. That's the purpose in coffee. Otherwise, it's just disgusting. I can just drink any other drink.
Can you tell the difference between decaf?
I can't tell the difference, but I can feel the difference because I'm like, where's my kick, right?
Yeah.
Caffeine, there's a whole thing about it. Non-alcoholic beer, again, beer is not that tasty that I need a non-alcoholic. I'm not the only person drinking Old Duels and Heineken 100%, 0% alcohol. I'm drinking beer to get drunk. I'm not drinking beer for the taste. Beer is not that tasty. It has a taste, but that's why you drink it cold, so you can reduce the nastiness of it, right? That's the purpose of making things cold, because it reduces it diminishes the taste because it's cold, and so you don't taste it as much. That's why we like cold. So you ever drink cold Pepsi? I mean, warm Pepsi? It's disgusting. Yeah. Cold Pepsi is great because it takes away the vegan meat. Again, I don't see the purpose in having vegan meat. Why you obviously like meat, so just eat meat. I don't understand why we eat a vegan meat. It's pointless if you're gonna make it smell like meat and look like meat and put all these different chemicals to make it.
I watched a video
texture of meat.
I watched a video last night that this dude said that there's some scientists like, how did they even end up on that video? Basically, they grew this meat in a lab.
Bro,
you seen it?
It's coming, bro. Pause. It's already here.
Like they said, they were going to be able to grow. I think it was like 75,000 pounds or something like that in the next 12 months or something like that. And I'm like,
bro,
who wants to grow meat? Like that's not that. I don't. And the FDA is like putting their thumbs up and stamp of approval on so much.
FDA is garbage, bro. I think we all have seen that the FDA is not non-biased, objective institution.
I think who's paying us the most to make the decision that's going to keep the money flowing. I think is kind of what the FDA is in position, because I see
Food and Drug Administration, bro. They're not trying to do anything but make money. Because a lot
of stuff like that we thumbs up with the FDA is absolutely not allowed. It's illegal in Europe or other countries, but we're the most unhealthy country in in the world. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we can go down. I'm gonna start with one thing I hate and then one thing I like. One thing I hate when people chew gum and they pop it with the click, click, tap, clap, click, tap, click, pat, pat, click. Bro, it is the most annoying.
Really?
Close your mouth, bro. Like, and now I'm like, I was in the pap, I'm like, what the? Bro, I was in, and I've never liked it since I was like younger, and And once you hear that sound,
Yeah.
I cannot tune it
You
out.
automatically turn your head like.
I hear it no matter what I put earphones in. I was in the airport. We were coming back from Florida, I think. I can't remember where. And I was in the airport of all at the terminal and all the people, whatever. And I hear pap, 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 click, click, pap. And I could not turn it off. And then I was like, where is it coming from? And then I found it. And I was like, oh. I was like, and she just would not. She like was on it, bro.
Yeah.
And she was a professional. Bro, I was like so irritated. So I put my earphones in and I just went out. Like, I cannot stand it. So, like, close your mouth when you chew.
Yeah.
And if you happen to do it because of that's how you, that's just what it is when you close your mouth, when you chew, then great. At least you're not echoing it because your mouth is open. It's horrible to me.
So what's the one thing that you like?
I like the quiet of like around 7:30 when it's starting, when the sun is going down.
Oh.
I like the quiet where, of course, you know, I'm country, where you start to hear the crickets and the frogs, like in the fall, late summer, the crickets and the frogs.
You went lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but because I was thinking about like loans and mortgages and all that and real estate, but I was like, man, I love that when I'm the busyness of 495 and 66 and 29 and all the cars and the traffic and the tire noise, but then I turn off on like the main road that's about 2 miles from, 3 miles from my house, and when I turn off on that road, it immediately gets quiet. And then the further you go back, that's not my driveway, but it brings you into some other roads, and then you get into our neighborhood. But even our neighborhood has 1,000 homes or whatever in it, and it's like it's still quiet, very quiet. And me being from the country, like I remember like going to my grandmother's and going to my, even at my parents' house, that time of day when the sun starts to just get below the tree line a lot of times, and then nightlife and wildlife start to like get active. And if it's the right temperature, you hear those frogs at the creek, and it's like, like this is the part that I like so much. It helps me like kind of just downshift and recharge and get ready for the next day. But it's just I love it. I love it so much. So I'm just like it.
I love that, bro.
That's why y'all need to come.
You trying to get us out there, man. We're gonna come out there man, one day. That drink one day, man. I gotta fill my tank up.
Man. Whatever.
Let's get into the comment section. Ding dong. I started putting that back in. I like that one.
That job was cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, by the way, if you listen on iTunes, make sure to like, subscribe, and put a comment in the comment section. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with anybody that you might think is dope.
Yeah, man.
Because they may think it's dope too.
They should.
So here's a comment that I got on the TikTok here. This was from a video where I was talking about 3.5% interest rates and how a majority of the people who have loans now are at 4% or lower, and a larger percent of them are at 3% and lower, and a larger majority of them are at 2% and lower. And so the comment came from Mr. Mad Badger. And he says, the boomers, he's talking about the boomers. And he says, yes, that's why the prices remain stubbornly high. He said, it's the boomers aging out and dying that will ultimately drive down real estate prices in many markets. He says that I said, well, they still got to sell at fair market rate, so that's not going to drop the prices. He says the supply and demand, but the boomers eventually will have to sell because they're the ones that are like hoarding the supply in his
because they're not moving.
Yeah, that's his opinion. What say you, Coach?
Well, opinions are what they are. I don't know that it's he has any facts to it, because one thing we know is that the boomer generation staying in their homes is not a bad thing. Like, they took the step that we're encouraging y'all to take, is to buy a home. So just because you now want a home and you can't find a home because they're not selling, don't get mad.
Mm.
Like, there's still inventory out here that you can buy to take a step, because the house that you think that the boomer is supposed to be selling for your benefit, that wasn't their first house, right?
Ah.
That wasn't a starter home. That was like their forever home in a
Mm.
sense, right? And now they're taking advantage of the market that we have. So I encourage you to start the process so that in 30 years you'll have a home and you'll be a boomer, so to speak, and then you'll be able to sell, and do the same thing that you see happening now. I also will say that I see a ton of the boomer generations selling their homes, right? They bought in 1976 for $50,000, and the house is now worth $1.1 million, and they only owe $200,000. So they got a $900,000 gross net profit, so to speak, right? $900,000 without a closing cost or whatever that they're taking, and then they're now going to buy the same house that their first time buyer is buying. So they put themselves in competition because they're downsizing, right? But they're going to buy this house at 400,000 in cash, and still that the
No
first
contingencies.
time, right? And do it in 2-3 weeks, right? That the first time buyer needs a loan and a down payment assistance program, whatever. So down payment assistance, the first time buyer, they're competing with the boomers.
Yep.
And that boomer has $500,000
Cash money.
cash afterwards, right? So the stats show that is actually happening. My encouragement to you, young man, young lady, whoever this is, get started. Like, they're doing now here at 60, 70 years old what we're sharing with you, you should do now at 30 years old, so that when you get to this age, you'll be able to do the same exact thing, because their property went up just like we're talking about over time. It's an investment, it's an asset. So that's my take on it.
I love what you're saying, man. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that my response to that is I hear you. That the boomers do have some of the supply, a lot of the supply, just like millennials and everybody else. Anybody who owns, we have the supply. The thing I think he's not considering is, yeah, boomers are going to die off, and yeah, boomers are going to be selling at some point. But one thing you have to consider is they're going to be selling at the fair market value of that time. So if their house is worth 700, or let's say their houses they pass away. So there's a few things you have to take into consideration. One, boomers passing away isn't going to create a flood of inventory. Why? Because a lot of those boomers are going to be putting their properties in estates. A lot of those boomers are going to be passing their properties on to their families and not going to be selling at all. They're going to be holding on to them and creating legacy properties.
And it's kind of morbid too.
It's morbid, but I understand where he's coming from. Like, yo, we're just waiting for these guys to like let go of some of their properties, right?
Yeah.
Because the boomers did get a good deal, a lot, especially post World War II, where a lot of people got GI Bills, certain races, and even our family, like you said, they could buy a house for $50,000. But what you have to consider is that's not going to change the value of the homes. That's not going to tank the real estate market. Like, again, people still have this post 2008 mentality that a flood of inventory automatically means a decrease in home prices. It does not, because when they do sell, they're going to sell at the fair market value for whenever of that time, wherever the market is at that time. So if their house is worth $500,000, even though they only paid $50,000 for it, that doesn't mean they're going to put it on the market for $50,000. They're going to put it on the market for the fair market value. So if you can't afford to buy it now, you're not going to be able to afford to buy it then when they do put it on the market, because it's still going to be at the exorbitant rate that whatever is the fair market value at the time. So if 2 million boomers suddenly pass away and all these properties hit the market, one, we're still 6 million homes short. So unless we get a 6 million boomers that pass away suddenly, and all 6 million of those houses hit the market, those houses are still going to be at the fair market value for whatever that time period is. So it's not going to affect you as far as you being able to get houses at a discount. You're still going to have to pay. Their estate is still going to liquidate that property at the fair market value. So there's going to be more houses. I mean, and they're gonna, these people, everybody's not going to pass away on the same day, right? It's not going to happen in one day. The boomers are going to pass away. You know, millennials pass away. People pass away all the time. It's not just boomers that are going to, but they are, all things being considered and all things normal, they are going to be the first generation, you know, the next generation to start passing away, which is true. But that doesn't mean that there's going to be necessarily, that's not necessarily true that there's going to be an influx of properties that's going to hit the market, and that's where all the properties are being hoarded with the boomers, because you're still going to have to pay whatever the going rate for homes is at that time. So yes, you're right. The boomers do have a lot of inventory, and you have to also, you know, there's more things to consider than just, oh, okay, well, you know, they're all going to pass away, and then all these houses are just going to become available, and then we'll be Gucci. So that's a really good point, Mr. Mac Gruder. Really appreciate you for your comment.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, that's our 2 cents on it. And that wraps us up, man. That wraps us up for today, brother. Thank you so much for jumping on to the Real Estate Wire podcast.
Appreciate it.
We'll be back next week, next Friday, with another pod. For all y'all that's watching on YouTube, again, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with anybody that you think might find it valuable. Yeah. Follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, or on the TikTok. Where can they find you at, Coach?
At Fields Mortgage Group and at Mortgage Coach Marcus on Instagram.
And I am Dan. Wheeler sells homes on all platforms. For all of us here at the Real Estate Wire, we are out.